Odogwu owned one of the biggest motor parts shops in the popular Onitsha market. His shop was always busy. From morning till evening, customers came from different places to buy motor parts. Some bought in small quantities, while others came with big money to buy wholesale and supply their own customers. But there was something else that made Odogwu very popular in the market. His name. Everybody called him Odogwu. Whenever a customer shouted,
Odogwu! Odogwu! Odogwu no be guy name. Odogwu, you too much! Odogwu no be guy name.
Odogwu was a man in his late 40s. He was not married, yet many people in the market considered him one of the richest men around. He dressed well, drove a good car, and had money moving through his hands every day. But there was one thing he loved almost as much as money: women. Odogwu had more than 3 girlfriends, and whenever he wanted to take one of them out, he would first calculate every naira in his head. One evening, he took one of his girlfriends to a small restaurant. They had barely finished eating when the lady looked at him sweetly.
Odogwu, please buy chicken for me.
Ha! Chicken!
Yes, just one.
No, you're supposed to understand me. This money na my business money. If we come here and chop am like this, Odogwu fit turn to guy name.
Odogwu, you can never change, so you cannot buy chicken?
Biko, manage meat. Honor still meat biko. No kona efe.
That was how stingy Odogwu was. He could have money in his account, money in his shop, and money in different investments. But spending money unnecessarily was something he hated. He also never took his girlfriends to his house. Instead, he preferred meeting them in local hotels and guest houses. His best friend, Ogechukwu, who also owned a big electrical equipment shop in the same market, never stopped teasing him about it. One afternoon, as the 2 men sat inside Ogechukwu's shop, Ogechukwu looked at his friend and laughed.
Odogwu, when will you marry? Ogechukwu, leave me biko. You are almost 50. Almost 50k? Ogechukwu, I still the young. Not be 49 years I still there. You have money, you have women. What exactly are you waiting for? Money first. Money again? Yes. You know, no say man must make money. I need money. You know, say woman and money are 5 and 6, so I need to work harder.
Ogechukwu laughed. You will work until you become an old man. Odogwu waved his hand. After all, I still dey young. But unknown to Ogechukwu, there was one woman among all his girlfriends whom Odogwu truly cared about. Her name was Chidinma. Chidinma was from Anambra State, just like him. She was a graduate and worked in a bank. Unlike the others, Chidinma was not interested in his money. She wanted something simple. She wanted to know where she stood in his life. They had been dating for 2 years, but there was one strange thing that continued to disturb her. Odogwu had never taken her to his house, not even once. One evening, after closing from work, Chidinma went straight to Odogwu's shop. The market was already getting quieter. Some traders were closing their shops while others were still struggling to finish the day's business. Chidinma stood outside Odogwu's shop with a serious face. Odogwu noticed her immediately. He looked at her from head to toe.
Ne, you don't chop? What happened?
Odogwu, why didn't you call me today?
Chai, this girl no go understand. You know say Odogwu no be guy man. Ne, na money matter.
So you are telling me you were too busy to even call me?
No, Anyoma, no vex.
Odogwu, sometimes I feel like you don't love me. Odogwu laughed again. Chai, you don't start again. He walked closer to her. Na money be love. Chidinma looked directly into his eyes.
Then tell me something. When will I know your house? We have been together for 2 years. 2 years, Odogwu, and both of us are not getting any younger. You have never taken me to your house.
Odogwu opened his mouth, but no words came out. For the first time that evening, the confident man became uncomfortable. He looked around the market. Then he looked at Chidinma again. Your house? He repeated slowly. Yes, your house. Odogwu swallowed hard.
I don't understand you anymore. Whenever I ask about your house, you change the subject.
Ne.
No, don't call me Ne. Answer me.
Odogwu stared at her. The noise of the market seemed to fade for a moment. Then Chidinma asked quietly,
Odogwu, what exactly are you hiding from me?
I'm not hiding anything, Chidinma.
Odogwu's eyes suddenly shifted. And for the first time in 2 years, Chidinma noticed something she had never seen in his eyes before. Fear.
Or are you married? Answer me.
Fine, no problem. I be Odogwu, and Odogwu no be guy name. So if I close now, we'll go home together.
Better.
As they reached the house, Odogwu opened the gate and turned to Chidinma. Okay, you're welcome to my house. Hope you are okay? Chidinma smiled brightly. I'm fine. She entered the parlor, dropped her handbag on the couch and turned around, ready to hug him. But Odogwu quickly stopped her. Nay, you wait here. No move. I dey come. Make I go drop something inside the room. Chidinma looked at him and said, okay. Odogwu quickly walked down the passage. He stopped in front of one of the doors, looked behind him to make sure Chidinma was not following him, then opened it and entered. Click! He locked the door from inside. The room was quiet. His father was sitting on a chair in the corner, completely silent. Odogwu walked toward him. He picked up a clean white handkerchief and placed it gently on his father's head. Odogwu stood there for a moment, staring at him. He removed the necklace around his own neck and carefully placed it around his father's neck. Then he removed the ring from his finger and gently placed it in his father's laps. Then he smiled strangely. Odogwu no big guy name. His father did not respond. Odogwu waited for a few seconds. Still nothing. He adjusted the handkerchief one more time, then walked back to the door. Before opening it, he looked back at his father. His face suddenly became serious. Then he opened the door, stepped out and locked it again. When he returned to the parlor, Chidinma rushed toward him and hugged him. Odogwu, I love your house. This place is beautiful. Odogwu forced a smile. Chidinma pulled away and looked around the beautiful parlor.
Odogwu, since you are not talking about marriage, I am going to move in with you because I can't go just like that.
Nah, it never reached that level. Because
No, I am serious.
Biko.
I am serious.
I still be young boy. I never reach.
49 years is young boy.
Leave me. When the time reach, I go come with my omuna. We go pay your bride price properly. So no worry. Very soon.
Chidinma hissed. That won't concern you. She picked up her bag. Please, take me to the room. Let me go and bath, I beg. Thank God tomorrow is Saturday. No work. Odogwu stared at her. For a few seconds, he said nothing. Then he glanced toward the passage. His smile slowly disappeared. The next morning, Odogwu woke up very early. The house was quiet. He stood in the parlor with his bag in one hand and looked toward the bedroom where Chidinma was still sleeping. He checked the time on his phone. This girl still dey sleep. He shook his head. He knew exactly what he needed to do before leaving the house. Odogwu looked toward the passage. His face suddenly became serious. He slowly removed his shoes. He carried them in his hand and began to walk quietly toward the locked room where his father was. He did not want Chidinma to hear his footsteps. He moved carefully. One step, then another. He stopped halfway and looked back toward the bedroom. No movement. Chidinma was still sleeping. Odogwu continued. This time, he tiptoed. He placed each foot gently on the floor so that there would be no sound. When he reached the door, he stood still for a few seconds. He listened. Nothing. He looked behind him again. The house was silent. He quickly brought out the key, unlocked the door, and entered. Click! He immediately locked the door behind him. Inside the room, his father was still sitting quietly on the chair. Odogwu walked toward him. He opened his bag and brought out some money. He gently used the money to clean his father's face. He carefully checked his father's clothes and adjusted them. Then he folded the money and put it back inside his bag. His eyes moved to the white handkerchief resting on his father's head. He collected it. He held it in his hand for a moment. Then he brought it close to his nose and smelled it. Suddenly, he laughed softly. Ha! He shook his head. This thing's safe. He folded the handkerchief and put it inside his pocket. Then he looked at the necklace around his father's neck. He reached out and carefully removed it. He placed the necklace around his own neck and adjusted it. After that, he looked down. The ring was still resting on his father's lap. Odogwu picked it up and slipped it onto his own finger. He admired it for a moment. Then he looked at his father. The man did not speak. He did not move. Odogwu stared at him for a few seconds. Then he smiled. Odogwu no be guy man. He chuckled quietly. He turned toward the door. Before leaving, he stopped and looked back one more time. His smile disappeared. Make everything just remain the way I put am. He opened the door slowly. He stepped out. Then he locked it carefully. Odogwu put his shoes back on and returned to the parlor. He suddenly raised his voice. Chidinma! No answer. Chidinma! Still nothing. He looked toward the bedroom. Come out. Ooh, time no day. Odogwu needs to go hustle. Time na money. After a few seconds, Chidinma finally came out of the room. She was wearing Odogwu's oversized polo shirt. Her hair was still rough from sleep. Odogwu looked at her. Ne, why you still dressed like this? You never bath? Chidinma looked at him. Bath? Where are we going? To the shop. She shook her head. No. Odogwu frowned. No ke? Chidinma walked to the sofa and sat down. This is my first time coming to your house. I need to relax. Odogwu stared at her. Ne, come make we go shop. Here they lonely. Chidinma looked at him.
Odogwu, did I complain? This is my man's house. Let me relax more. Besides, I didn't go to work today.
Biko.
Odogwu, are you chasing me out of your house?
No, but anyway, since you want to stay, stay. I beg no try the open rooms. Make everything the way they Biko.
Yes, sir. I hear you. Wow. Thank God. I now know my man's house. But I will not give this man that chance again. He must marry me. Anambra men can never disappoint me. At his age, he is still scared of marriage. I must break that yoke. Odo, get ready, because I have come to stay.
Later that day, Odogwu was sitting inside his shop in the market. Business was moving as usual. Customers were coming to buy motor parts. Some were buying wholesale. Others were negotiating prices. But Odogwu was not paying attention. His mind was somewhere else. He looked at his phone. Then he looked at the time. He tapped his fingers nervously on the table. Make this girl no open that door. He leaned back. Then he sat up again. What if she open am? He shook his head quickly. No. He stood up. Be like say I go check on this girl before she spoil thing for me. He grabbed his keys. But before leaving, he turned to one of his workers. Abeg, watch this place for me. I dey come. Okay, Oga. Odogwu hurried out of the shop. Back at home, Chidinma had spent hours admiring the house. She opened the wardrobe in the bedroom, looked at some of Odogwu's clothes, and laughed.
So this man has been hiding all these things from me?
She walked back into the parlor. She looked at the wall clock. Then she walked down the passage again. As she passed the locked room, she suddenly stopped. She looked at the door. She remembered Odogwu's warning. Make everything day the way e day. Chidinma frowned.
Let me enter this room. How can one person be staying alone in this big house with so many rooms? Well, let me enter inside to see if it have more decoration than the other rooms.
She stepped closer. She looked around. Nobody was there. She placed her hand on the door handle. She hesitated. Should I open it? She removed her hand. Then she laughed nervously.
Open it. Why am I even scared? Why did he lock this room?
She stepped back. Her curiosity became stronger. She looked toward the parlor. Then she looked back at the door. She slowly leaned closer. Her eyes narrowed as she tried to see through the tiny gap around the door. Suddenly, she heard something from inside. Thump. Chidinma froze. Her eyes widened. She quickly turned around. The passage was empty. She swallowed hard. What was that? She took one step backward, then another. She looked at the door again. Her heart began beating faster. She slowly moved toward it once more. Just as she reached for the handle. Stop! What are you doing there? Chidinma froze.
Stop! What are you doing there? Chidinma, are you mad? Can't you see that this door is locked? Why are you forcing it open?
Chidinma's lips parted, but no words came out. She had never seen him this angry before. Not once. They had been together for 2 years, and even when they disagreed, Odogwu had never spoken to her with that kind of anger. She slowly pulled her hand away from him. Odogwu, Chidinma! His voice became even louder. She immediately went quiet. He pointed toward the bedroom.
Before I close my eyes and open them again, I want you to leave my house right now!
Chidinma's eyes filled with shock. She looked at him. Then she looked at the locked door. Something about his reaction made her even more suspicious. But she said nothing. She quickly rushed into the bedroom. A few minutes later, she came out wearing her own clothes. She carried her handbag and walked toward the door. Odogwu was standing outside on the parlor, waiting for her. Chidinma stopped for a moment. She looked at him. He looked at her. Neither of them spoke. She simply walked past him and left. The door closed behind her. Odogwu remained standing there for a few seconds. He sat heavily on the sofa and rubbed his face.
Now, wow. Look at how this girl almost destroyed my life. Ha! She thought Odogwu na guy name?
He stood up. His face became serious again. He walked straight toward the locked room. He unlocked the door and entered. His father was still sitting quietly in the room. Odogwu stood in front of him. He looked at him carefully. Nothing. He adjusted a few things, closed the door, and locked it again. Then he walked outside, entered his car, and drove back to his shop. Chidinma returned home angry and confused. She dropped her handbag on the sofa. She began pacing around the parlor. No, she stopped. She folded her arms. I think Odogwu is hiding something from me. She started walking again.
I can't believe he sent me out of his house because of that room. That room. Why is that particular room locked? There is something wrong somewhere. What will I do? Should I call my pastor? No. I think this is my cross. I will carry it alone. And besides, Odogwu must marry me. He cannot waste 2 precious years of my life and expect me to just walk away.
She sat down slowly. He is rich. He is a devoted Christian. No, this cannot end like this. She picked up her phone again. I think I will call him tonight and beg him. She paused. Or let me wait and see if he will call me first. She sighed. But if he doesn't call? She nodded slowly. I will swallow my pride and call him. After all, he is my man. She looked toward the ceiling. And he warned me not to enter that room. The next morning, Chidinma was still sleeping when her phone rang. She opened her eyes. She reached for the phone. When she saw the name on the screen, she immediately sat up. Odogwu? She answered quickly. Hello? His voice came through. Chidinma, come to my house. Her eyes widened. You want me to come? Yes, come. The call ended. Chidinma quickly got out of bed. She dressed in a hurry and rushed out. When Chidinma arrived, Odogwu was waiting in the parlor. He looked calmer. As soon as she entered, he stood up. Woman, it's well. Chidinma looked at him quietly. Odogwu sighed. About yesterday, he rubbed his forehead. I am sorry for the way I shouted at you. Chidinma lowered her eyes. I was angry. He paused. This is exactly why I didn't want to invite you to my house in the first place. Chidinma looked at him. I knew you would not stay one place. He smiled slightly. But by right, I am not even supposed to be the one begging you. He stepped closer. Sometimes, as a man, You need to let go of your pride to maintain a happy home. Chidinma's eyes softened. She slowly knelt down. Thank you, Odogwu, for forgiving me. She bowed her head. I am sorry. Odogwu helped her up. It's okay. They hugged. For a moment, everything seemed peaceful again. The following night, the house was quiet. Odogwu was inside the room. He suddenly looked at Chidinma. Ne? I want to drink juice. Chidinma nodded. Okay. She went into the kitchen. She prepared the drink and quietly added something to it. She looked at the glass for a few seconds. Then, she picked it up and returned to the room. Here. Odogwu collected it. He looked at her suspiciously. Then he said, Testam. Chidinma hesitated. She took the glass and drank from it. Odogwu watched her carefully. He waited until she had swallowed. Then, he took the drink from her and drank from it himself. Chidinma smiled faintly. I'm going to the kitchen. She left the room. Once inside the kitchen, she quickly took another drink she had prepared and swallowed it, trying to counter what she had already taken. She washed the cup and returned to the room. By then, Odogwu had fallen asleep. Chidinma stood beside the bed. She watched him carefully. When she was sure he was deeply asleep, she quietly opened his bag. She searched through it. Then she found a bunch of keys. Her eyes lit up. She carefully brought out a small piece of soap she had kept in her own bag. She pressed the keys gently against it, one after another, creating impressions. She examined the marks carefully. Then she returned the keys to the bag. She put the soap back inside her bag. She lay down beside him. Within minutes, she closed her eyes. The next morning, Odogwu woke up and touched his forehead. He felt a slight headache. He sat up. Maybe na stress. He waved it off. He went through his normal morning routine. Soon, he and Chidinma left the house. Odogwu went to his shop. Chidinma went to the bank. Later that day, after closing from work, Chidinma went to a place where duplicate keys were made. She brought out the soap containing the impressions. The man examined it carefully. He looked at her. Come tomorrow. I will make it for you. Chidinma nodded. Okay. Thank you. She left. Later, Odogwu called her. Ne, you dey come later today? Chidinma looked at her phone. No, I will come tomorrow after work. She paused. I will come with my bag. You are not planning to go anywhere soon, are you? Odogwu laughed. No. Okay. They ended the call. The next day, after work, Chidinma returned to the house with her bag. Odogwu welcomed her.
Woman, it's well. After all the trouble I entered, Odogwu no be guy name.
Chidinma laughed. Everything appeared normal. They ate, they talked, they went to bed. But Chidinma was waiting for one thing. The night became deeper. The house became completely silent. Odogwu was fast asleep. Chidinma slowly opened her eyes. She turned her head toward him. He did not move. She carefully sat up. She reached into her bag and brought out the newly made key. Her heart began beating rapidly. She looked toward the passage. Then she looked back at Odogwu, still sleeping. She quietly got out of bed. She walked barefoot toward the locked room. Every step was slow. She reached the door. She held the key tightly.
God, please protect me.
Chidinma? Chidinma? Chidinma! Chidinma!
His voice thundered through the house. He got to the locked room and stopped. The door was wide open. His eyes became huge. Jesus! He rushed inside. Chidinma! What have you done? He looked around. Then his eyes fell on his father. The old man was still sitting on the chair. He did not move. He did not speak. Odogwu rushed toward him. Papa! He touched his shoulder. Nothing. He touched his face. Still nothing. Papa! His voice broke. He quickly turned around. Chidinma was lying on the floor. Odogwu rushed toward her. Chidinma! He knelt beside her and shook her gently.
Wake up! This girl don't finish me, oh? What have you done? Ah! Chidi!
The word barely came out. Tears rolled down his cheeks. He could not stand. He could barely move one side of his body. Meanwhile, Chidinma slowly opened her eyes. Her head was pounding. Ah! She touched her forehead. For a few seconds, she could not remember where she was. Then she turned her head. Her eyes suddenly widened. Odogwu! She quickly sat up. She saw him lying on the floor, struggling to move. Spit was dripping from his mouth. Odogwu, what is happening? She rushed toward him. Odogwu! He looked at her. Tears were running down his face. Please talk to me. He tried to speak. Nothing clear came out. Chidinma became frightened. Odogwu, can you please tell me what is happening? He only raised his trembling hand and pointed toward his father. Chidinma looked at the old man. Then she looked back at Odogwu. She was completely confused. Without wasting another second, she rushed out of the room. She ran into the bedroom and grabbed Odogwu's phone. Her hands were shaking badly. She searched through his contacts. Then she found Ogechukwu's number. She pressed call. The phone rang. Once. Twice. Then Ogechukwu answered. Hello, Ogechukwu? Chidinma's voice was shaking. Hello, please, what happened? Your friend. She began breathing heavily. I don't know what is happening. Ogechukwu sat up immediately. What happened to Odogwu? Chidinma looked toward the passage. I opened the... She suddenly stopped. Ogechukwu's voice became serious. You opened the door? Chidinma's eyes widened. She nodded unconsciously. Yes. Her breathing became faster. Yes. I opened the door. Ogechukwu immediately got out of bed. His wife looked at him. Honey, what is happening? He grabbed his car key. Nothing. She stared at him. Ogechukwu? He looked at her. Odogwu is in danger. What happened? I am coming. He quickly left the house. He entered his car and drove off. Back at Odogwu's house, Chidinma was pacing around the parlor when she heard a car stop outside. The door opened. Ogechukwu rushed inside. Where is he? Chidinma pointed toward the passage. He is inside. Ogechukwu ran toward the room. A few moments later, he came out with Odogwu. With Chidinma's help, they carefully carried him into the parlor and placed him on the sofa. Chidinma was crying. Ogechukwu, what is happening? She wiped her tears. I thought we were going to the hospital. Why are we here? Ogechukwu did not answer. He stood still. His eyes were fixed on the passage. Then he slowly walked toward Odogwu. He looked at the necklace around Odogwu's neck. Then he looked at the ring on his finger. He carefully removed both. Chidinma watched him. Ogechukwu, what are you doing? He said nothing. He walked toward the locked room. He opened the door and entered. The old man was still sitting in the same chair. Ogechukwu walked toward him. His eyes became wet. He placed the necklace around the old man's neck. Then he placed the ring in his hand. He slowly knelt down. For several seconds, he simply stared at the old man. Then tears began falling from his eyes. Please! His voice was barely audible. He bowed his head. The old man remained silent. He did not move. Ogechukwu slowly stood up. He walked out of the room. Then he locked the door. When he returned to the parlor, Chidinma rushed toward him. Please, talk to me. Ogechukwu looked at her. What is happening? He remained silent. Ogechukwu! She grabbed his arm. Please! He gently removed her hand. Wait till morning. Chidinma stared at him. Morning? Yes. But Odogwu needs a hospital. Ogechukwu looked at Odogwu. For now, let him rest. Chidinma looked at Odogwu. He was lying quietly on the sofa. His eyes were closed. She wiped her tears. She had a terrible feeling that the truth she had been searching for was finally going to destroy everything. The next morning. The morning came slowly. Chidinma barely slept. As soon as she noticed Odogwu moving, she jumped up. Odogwu! Ogechukwu also turned toward him. Odogwu slowly opened his eyes. His hands were shaking. Spit was still coming from the side of his mouth. Chidinma moved closer. Odogwu. He looked at her. Tears immediately filled his eyes. Chidinma. His voice was weak. I told you don't open, Chidinma. You have finished me. Chidinma stepped back. What? You have finished me. She shook her head. What did I do to you? Odogwu tried to speak properly, but his mouth was still weak. Chidinma looked at Ogechukwu. How? Then she pointed toward the passage. Who is that man in that room? She suddenly stopped. Her face became pale. Wait. She shook her head. Please, let it not be what I am thinking. Ogechukwu took a deep breath. Yes, Chidinma. She looked at him. Odogwu no be guy name. Chidinma's eyes widened. What does that mean? Ogechukwu looked toward the locked room. There are some things we cannot explain to you the way you want. Chidinma's voice trembled. Then tell me what is happening. Ogechukwu remained quiet for a moment. Then he pointed toward the locked room. That man inside there is Odogwu's father. Chidinma's mouth dropped open. What? She took a step backward. No. Ogechukwu continued. Everybody believed that man had already been buried. Chidinma covered her mouth. Jesus Christ of Nazareth! She looked toward the locked room. He is alive? Ogechukwu nodded. And Odogwu's wealth, he paused, is connected to him. Chidinma's eyes became even wider. What? Ogechukwu looked at her. That is why Odogwu never wanted you to enter that room. Chidinma slowly sat down. So all these years... She shook her head. No, Ogechukwu continued. Now you know the truth. He looked at Odogwu, and because that door was opened, he stopped. Odogwu has lost what was protecting him. Chidinma began crying. What can we do? Ogechukwu looked at her seriously. Now you have to make a choice. What choice? You can help Odogwu regain himself because you are the one that put him in this condition. He paused. Or he remains like this. Chidinma stared at him. How? She moved closer. Please, how can I help him? Odogwu's eyes filled with tears. He struggled to raise his hand. Ne? Chidinma bent down. What? Odogwu's voice trembled. You will need to sacrifice something very precious. Chidinma frowned. What? Odogwu swallowed hard. Your womb. Chidinma jumped back. My what? Your womb. She stared at him in disbelief. Odogwu, have you lost your mind? He began crying. Ne, please. No. You remember say Odogwu dey show you love? His voice broke. I respect you. He struggled to move his hand toward her. Biko. Chidinma shook her head violently. No, no. I cannot do this. Odogwu's eyes followed her. Please don't disappoint me. Chidinma looked at him. Then she looked toward the locked room. Her breathing became heavy. No! She rushed into the bedroom. She picked up her bag and ran back. Run, Chidinma! She did not stop. She opened the door and ran outside. The door slammed behind her. Ogechukwu stood silently in the parlor. Odogwu remained on the sofa, tears running down his face. Chidinma arrived home completely confused. She pushed the door open, entered the parlor and dropped her handbag on the sofa. For several seconds, she simply stood there. Her eyes were red. Her mind was racing. She began pacing from one side of the room to the other. No. She stopped. She shook her head. Then she sat down. A few seconds later, she stood up again. No. She placed both hands on her head. Should I really give this man my womb? Her voice was low and shaky. She looked down at her stomach and gently placed her palm on it. No, she shook her head. But I promised myself that I would have 5 children. Her eyes filled with tears. And now this. She slowly sat down again. She wiped her face. But... She paused. I love Odogwu. She closed her eyes. He is the only man who has ever shown me genuine love and respect. He is my speck. A tear rolled down her cheek. And he is from my own state. She looked toward the ceiling. God, her voice broke. This is too much for me. She stood up and began pacing again. What will I do? She stopped beside the window. If I leave him now, what will happen to him? She wiped her tears. But if I agree? She placed her hand on her stomach again. What will happen to the dream I have had all my life? She stood silently for a long time. There was no answer. The next morning, the sun had barely risen when someone knocked on Odogwu's door. Knock, knock, knock. Ogechukwu, who was sitting in the parlor, looked toward the door. Another knock came. Knock! Knock! He stood up and walked toward the door. When he opened it, one of Odogwu's salesboys was standing outside. The young man looked worried. Ogechukwu. Ogechukwu immediately noticed his expression. What happened? The boy looked down. I came to see my master. Odogwu is sleeping. The boy swallowed hard. I came with bad news. Ogechukwu's face changed. Bad news? Yes, sir. Tell me. The boy took a deep breath. I went to the shop this morning. He paused. The whole shop has burned down. Ogechukwu froze. What? The boy nodded. Yes, sir. When? We don't know exactly, sir. But when I got there this morning, everything was already burnt. Ogechukwu stepped outside. Everything? Yes. He shook his head. And the worst part, the boy's voice became low. Your friend's shop was the only shop that got burnt. Ogechukwu stared at him. For a moment he could not speak. Then he slowly shook his head. Jesus! He looked toward the house. Okay. He took a deep breath. Don't worry. I will tell my friend. The boy nodded sadly. I am sorry, sir. You can go. The young man turned and walked away with his head lowered. Ogechukwu watched him disappear down the street. Then he slowly closed the door. He stood there for a few seconds. His face was filled with worry. He turned around and walked back into the parlor. He entered the room where Odogwu was resting. Odogwu opened his eyes. What happened? Ogechukwu sat beside him. There is something I need to tell you. Odogwu immediately became alert. What? Ogechukwu sighed. The shop. Odogwu stared at him. What about my shop? It burned down this morning. Odogwu's mouth dropped open. What? Everything is gone. Odogwu stared into space. He slowly raised his weak hand toward his head. Chai! Tears began rolling down his cheeks. Odogwu don turned to Gaiman. Ogechukwu looked at him sadly. Odogwu covered his face. My business! His voice broke. Everything I worked for! He began crying. Ogechukwu rubbed his shoulder. Don't worry. We will figure something out. But even as he said those words, he knew the situation was becoming more serious. Ogechukwu stepped outside and brought out his phone. He dialed Chidinma's number. It rang several times. Finally, hello? Chidinma. She recognized his voice immediately. Ogechukwu? Yes. There was silence for a moment. Then Ogechukwu spoke. Are you going to allow my friend to go like this? Chidinma closed her eyes. She already knew what he meant. You said you loved him. Her breathing became heavier. This is the right time to prove that love. Chidinma wiped her tears. But no more excuses, Chidinma. He softened his voice. I know what we are asking from you is not easy. Chidinma remained silent. But look at what is happening to Odogwu. She swallowed hard. His body is failing him. He paused. Now his business is gone too. Chidinma's tears started falling. Ogechukwu continued. And I promise you something. She listened carefully. If Odogwu gets back to himself, he will marry you. Chidinma closed her eyes. Are you sure? I am sure. She took a deep breath. What do I need to bring? Ogechukwu hesitated. Just your pant. Chidinma frowned. My what? Your pant. He lowered his voice. Either black or white. Chidinma remained silent. Then she ended the call. She placed the phone on the bed and immediately burst into tears. Lord, she covered her face. I hate this life. Her shoulders shook as she cried. What is happening to me? She looked down at herself. Why do I have to pay such a high price just for love? She remained there for a long time. Then slowly, she wiped her tears. Her mind was made up. Back at Odogwu's house, Ogechukwu returned to the parlor. Odogwu was struggling to sit upright. Come, Ogechukwu said. He carefully helped him up and laid him comfortably on the sofa. Odogwu stared blankly at the ceiling. He was still crying. Ogechukwu sat opposite him. Neither man spoke. The room became strangely quiet. Then suddenly, click! The front door opened. Both men looked toward the entrance. Chidinma walked inside. She stopped at the doorway. Her eyes were swollen from crying. She was holding a small bag tightly against her chest. Ogechukwu immediately, Chidi! She looked at him. He walked closer. Have you agreed to our request? Chidinma did not answer immediately. She looked toward Odogwu. He was lying helplessly on the sofa. Their eyes met. Odogwu's eyes filled with tears. Chidinma slowly walked toward him. Ogechukwu waited. Finally, she nodded. Yes. Ogechukwu breathed out slowly. Thank God. Chidinma raised one finger. But I have a condition. Ogechukwu looked at her. What condition? She turned toward Odogwu.
If I do this, Odogwu must swear that he must never marry another woman because of children. If we cannot have children, we will adopt. I cannot sacrifice this much and later watch another woman enter my home because she can give him children.
Yes, Nen. My love, anything. I will do anything to win your trust.
I just want you to keep your word.
I will.
Ogechukwu watched them quietly. Her hand trembled as she gave it to Ogechukwu. Ogechukwu collected it carefully. He looked at Chidinma. Then at Odogwu. Nobody spoke. The room suddenly felt heavy. Chidinma wiped her tears. Ogechukwu slowly closed his fist around what she had given him.
Ogechukwu quietly took the pant from Chidinma and walked toward the locked room. He opened the door and entered. The old man was still sitting in the chair, completely silent. Ogechukwu stood before him for a moment, then carefully used the pant to clean his face. He cleaned his hands. He cleaned his legs. Then he removed the necklace and the ring from the old man. He looked toward the door nervously before walking out. He closed and locked the door behind him. When he returned to the parlor, he walked straight to Odogwu. He gently used the same pant to clean Odogwu's face. Then he put the necklace back around Odogwu's neck. He also placed the ring back on his finger. Suddenly, Odogwu moved. He pushed himself up from the sofa. His eyes widened. He stood. He stretched his hands. He moved his legs. Then he shouted with excitement, I can stand! Chidinma screamed with joy. Odogwu rushed toward her, lifted her into the air and turned around with her before gently putting her back on the ground. He immediately knelt before her. Tears filled his eyes. Thank you. He held her hands tightly. I will love you and adore you for the rest of my life. Chidinma smiled through her tears. Odogwu suddenly turned toward Ogechukwu. He grabbed his friend and shook him excitedly. Guy! He laughed. When they say friend pass brother, now you be that friend. The two men hugged. Odogwu pulled away, spread his arms and laughed. Ta! Who they check am? He tapped his chest proudly. Odogwu, no big guy name. A few months later, Odogwu married Chidinma. Their wedding was beautiful. His business also came back stronger than before. Money started flowing again. Odogwu treated Chidinma like a queen. He respected her. He adored her. For years, everything appeared perfect. But 5 years later, something changed. Odogwu secretly married another woman named Amarachi. He rented an apartment for her and kept the marriage away from Chidinma. Amarachi was even pregnant. Sometimes, Odogwu would stay away from home for days. Whenever Chidinma called, he would not answer. 1 week passed without him returning home. Worried, Chidinma went to his shop. When she saw him, she rushed toward him. Odogwu, why have you stopped coming home? I hope there is no problem? Odogwu quickly smiled. No problem. I thought I told you I was traveling for a business trip. He cleared his throat. I just came back this afternoon. I was even planning to come home today. Chidinma looked at him suspiciously. Odogwu, let it not be what I am thinking. He laughed. Chidinma and curiosity. He shook his head. Nay, I beg. Forget whatever you are thinking. She sighed. Let's go home. Odogwu followed her. The next day, Odogwu went to his shop as usual. Later that afternoon, he went to a supermarket with Amarachi. They were laughing and shopping together. Neither of them noticed that Chidinma was also inside the supermarket. She was standing at the checkout counter while the cashier arranged her items. Then Amarachi smiled and said, Honey, please, baby wants to eat shawarma. Odogwu laughed. No problem, he added jokingly. Remember, Odogwu no be guy name. Chidinma suddenly froze. That voice. She slowly turned around. Her eyes widened. She knew that voice. My Odogwu? She turned fully. There he was, standing beside another woman. Her heart dropped. Odogwu? He turned. His face changed. Chidinma stared at Amarachi, then back at him. What is happening here? Odogwu stood speechless for a moment. Then he forced a smile. Man no dey fear woman. I be man. Chidinma shook her head in disbelief. Tears filled her eyes. She turned around and rushed out of the supermarket. She entered her car and drove home. Odogwu looked at Amarachi. Wait here. Amarachi nodded. She already knew about Chidinma. After they finished shopping, Odogwu went straight home, back home. When he entered the house, Chidinma was sitting alone. She was drinking and crying. She looked up. Who is that woman? Odogwu slowly cleared his throat. Chidinma. He paused. I am sorry. She stood up. Sorry for what? He looked away. She is my new wife. Chidinma's mouth opened. New wife? She stepped closer. When? Odogwu sighed. You know I be Igbo man. He tried to explain. I cannot work this hard, build all this wealth, and leave everything behind without a child to inherit it. Chidinma's eyes filled with tears. So you wanted a child. Her voice shook. And you allowed me to sacrifice my womb to save your life. Odogwu lowered his head. I am sorry, Chidinma screamed. You promised me. I know. You promised you would never marry another woman because of children. Odogwu remained quiet. I'm sorry, he repeated. But it is what it is. Chidinma pointed toward him. You caused this. Odogwu shook his head. I won't blame you. He paused. But one has to pay the price. Chidinma stared at him in disbelief. Then her anger exploded. Odogwu, I am going to scatter that your juju again today. Odogwu's face suddenly became serious. It is too late. He stepped closer. Anything you do now will also affect you. Chidinma trembled. Then divorce that woman. Odogwu raised an eyebrow. Or what? She could not answer. He sighed. Nah, Let me tell you something. You know I love you. He pointed toward the house. That is why I rented another house for her. I don't want problems in this house. He shrugged. After all, you are not lacking anything. Relax and enjoy the money. Chidinma shook her head. No, she wiped her tears. Odogwu, I am leaving this house. He stared at her. That is your business. He turned toward the door. But remember, he stopped. If you leave, no man may marry you, and you may never have the children you dreamed of. He looked back at her. So better manage here. Chidinma stood frozen. Odogwu opened the door. It is your choice. Then he walked away. The door closed. Chidinma slowly sank onto the sofa. She covered her face with both hands. She cried until her eyes became swollen. The house that once felt like her reward suddenly felt like a prison. She had sacrificed everything for the man she loved, but in the end, the same man broke the promise that had made her sacrifice it all. The end. Moral lesson: never sacrifice your future, dreams, or dignity blindly for someone else's promises. Love should come with honesty, loyalty, and responsibility. Before making a life-changing sacrifice for anyone, think carefully about the consequences, because some promises can change when circumstances change.